Hey everyone, just a quick announcement before we start today's episode. The story's too long to fit into one usual release, so this is going to be a two-parter. So tune in next week for the next part, and stay tuned to the end for more info.
Alright, man, here you go. Gummies for the campfire stories. These should keep you going for, I don't know, a week? Or at least until you're done your story reading.
Gene, why is this bottle sticky?
Sticky? Oh man, I spilled the fireball.
Ginger ale! You spilled ginger ale!
Yeah. Ginger ale and hidden extra stories at 5 a.m. from the Rowanmeister. Now that's my kind of party.
Anyways, story time. Hey, before we begin, Rowan, I just realized I never asked what this story is called. Think you could share?
This title is Wild Light, though I couldn't tell you why.
Weird. So, you said this is about Hughes, right? Like Bartholomew Hughes, I think his name was. I know we've kind of covered him before, but who is he?
Some member of the Foundation's Antimemetic division. He worked closely with Marion at one point, or at least was a mentor of some sort. From what I've read, he was supposed to be the one who saves the world.
Well, it sounds like it's going to go well for him then. Yeah? And we have 2 stories left after this. I can't imagine Hughes will be the one that saves the world then.
How can you be so certain?
It's basic story writing. Hughes wasn't the focus of any of these stories to date. A lot of what we have read about is about the history of Marion and Adam. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of them who does it in the end.
These aren't meant to be typical stories.
Okay, then why would you bring them to Campfire Story Night for the club? You saw how Lyrillin talked about tonight. They were excited enough that my message history for the last 3 days has only been this. And we both know you wouldn't dare risk that, would you?
Fair enough.
I guess that makes sense. Anyways, Ani, do you have any more sodas?
This is the last one, and it is all mine. I think there's some cider, though, but you never opened it.
Oh, right, I almost forgot about that. Hey, Gene, can you get me a can? I'll start reading while you do so.
You got it, man.
The meeting room is Containment Unit S167-00-1006, which is the skull of a stillborn Cryptomorpha gigantus. The hollowed-out space inside the skull cavity is a prototypical Vegas room, a place where what happens stays. People go in, they come out, their memories are sieved out of the universe as they leave, and they remember nothing. The skull was acquired in the 90s. The information suppression effect is a byproduct of the species' natural antimemetic camouflage, a phenomenon which rendered the colossally tall creatures somehow nearly impossible to observe in the wild. It's a phenomenon that Dr. Bartholomew Hughes and his team spent years figuring out how to replicate. They've got it now, though. They can synthesize C. gigante's bone, extruding it in prefabricated pieces from steel grids. They can bolt the plates together to make hermetically sealed boxes. Passive memetic insulation, no need for complicated machines. It's got a lot of potential. The skull is 45 meters long, 16 wide, and 15 tall. If you think of it as a cube at least. It resides at the center of a vast, purpose-built containment unit of its own, surrounded by the rest of the same C. gigante's individual's bones, laid out in meticulous radial patterns for space efficiency. The ossuary occupies about a third of the containment unit's floor area. The rest comprises immense industrial vessels which hold its harvested organs. Some of them are actual vessels, repurposed cargo ships loaded with brain matter and skin tissue. The floor plan of the warehouse is clear enough. It's navigable, if grim. But from ground level, on foot, The place is a vertiginous, intimidatingly macabre place, even fluorescent lit around the clock. Hughes walks down an echoing canyon created by, on his left, a 100-meter-long foreleg bone, and on his right, the blue steel container holding the creature's first stomach. Ahead, the skull peers down the canyon at him, a distant yellow-white tower fuzzed with scaffolding and disused scanning rig. Its eye sockets are vacant black. As he walks, Hughes has to remind himself continually that these are all the remains of a single organism, and honestly, one of the tiniest examples of its species. Behind the skull, where there used to be the creature's first neck vertebra, there is now a large compound mechanical airlock, a ramp, and some steps, and a staging area. The staging area serves as a miniature customs deck, tracking every person, item entering and leaving the area. Although memories are wiped on exit, written and electronic records emerging from the interior have to be handled manually. Standard procedure is for the first person exiting the room to bring written instructions for the filtration officer, telling them what other information from the room interior needs to be scrubbed and what is safe to retain. Usually, the list of information to retain is very short. There are seats, scanners, a coffee machine, a trolley loaded with cleaning equipment, and a stack of cages for the germs. Parked just outside of the staging area, there is also a limousine, bulletproof.
Where's everybody else? I'm not late.
This way, please.
He's speaking to another Foundationer, Bachner, who leads him to a seat near a scanner. Hughes has gone through this procedure a dozen times now, so he knows to hold his left arm out. Bachner tears the wrapper off a sterile bracelet-like sensor and clamps it around Hughes' left wrist, then observes a nearby screen.
They went in almost an hour ago.
Hughes frowns. That's not usual. Why would they tell him a different start time? Why would they need an hour of preparation time before he showed up?
Did they say anything?
Of course not.
Hughes hasn't the slightest clue of what this meeting is about, or what any of the previous meetings were about, or even if they had a common topic. Actually, he does have some clues. The timing of the meeting is one. The first took place early this year, and when they emerged, amnesiac, they were clutching written instructions from themselves to continue meeting monthly. Around October, the meetings became weekly. They had 3 just last week, and after Friday, they created a new schedule. They meet for 90 minutes every morning, starting today, Monday. A more significant clue is actually the list of attendees. Other than Hughes, 3 high-caliber researchers from his own organization are in attendance, along with the directors of Site 41, 45, and 167, the last of whom is Michael Lee, the Foundation's chief of antimemetics and Hughes' direct manager. He steals a glance at the car parked behind him. There's also that guy, or gal, or person. Hughes doesn't know for sure to whom the limo belongs, but the list of people in the world who have the authority to drive a street vehicle into a Foundation containment building is extremely short. Well, not to prevaricate, it's 13 people. There's an 05 in the room. An 05 is extremely interested in their covert discussions. This is a new and non-trivially alarming development.
Shouldn't this place be lousy with private security right now?
Bachner shrugs.
Okay. Did anybody go into the unit with the 05? The bodyguard? Did anybody stay in the car?
No.
Hughes glances at the car again. The windows are tinted, though surely there's a driver behind the wheel at least. But where's the real protection? Maybe it's all invisible. Microbes, occult spells of warding. He feels like the car is watching him back.
Open your mouth, please.
Bachner puts a disc-like cap on Hughes' head, presses an emitter to the roof of his mouth, and fires 2 pulses of radiation through his brain.
Any psychic intrusions?
Bachner pulls out the emitter and discards it.
Did you experience REM sleep in the past 12 hours?
Yes.
How many digits do you have?
10.
Count them for me, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Tilt your head back and look at the ceiling, please. Eyes wide open. And if you could take off your glasses.
I hate this part.
Bachner injects him with a substance which will prevent his body from rejecting the germ, then lifts a germ out of one of the cages. It splays its tendrils out, confused, not particularly a fan of being picked up. They lay the germs over his eyes, like a sleeping mask. There's a cold, sludgy sensation as it wraps itself around his chin and hair. Then the tendrils meet behind his neck and begin knitting with his spine. Hughes sees darkness for a few worrying seconds, and then a circular indentation forms in the germ's hide over the top of his right eye. There's a feeling like part of his brain is dislocating, and a fake eye opens where his real one would be. The fake eyeball is around 4 times the size of his own. Though it is singular, its 4 pupils grant him decent depth perception, and he can see a little way into the ultraviolet. The germ is acting as an external block of short to medium-term memory and as a proxy between the conscious Bart Hughes and the real world. When the meeting is over, the germ will be removed and incinerated, along with all memory of the meeting. There are other amnestic approaches, gas, injectable drugs, surgical techniques, occult rituals, whatever. These are safe, proven technologies for mass use on the general public and the Foundation staff alike, but they all operate on the same essential principle that the unwanted knowledge has already entered the mind and must now be removed or suppressed after the fact. Such procedures are themselves imperfect. Memory removal can leave critical fragments behind, occasionally enough for people to rebuild dangerous holes, and monastic technologies for causing suppressed memories to reassert themselves are continually advancing. Recent developments on the latest generation family of biochemical monastics, known as the Class Z, seem to likely produce a substance which renders all after-the-fact memory erasure techniques completely irrelevant. The only amnestic defense against Class Z would be decapitation. So, if there's advanced warning time, it's better to physically compartmentalize, to air gap, to outsource the memories to another organism entirely, and never let them touch your own mind. You can't be forced to recall something which you genuinely never experienced. It's a complex and dynamic field, one of several fields in which Hughes is a world expert. There are machines which could perform the same task as the germ, silicon modules you wear like a headset plugged into a surgically implanted jack behind your ear, but Hughes would rather die than submit to interfacing his brain directly with a computer, especially a Foundation-made computer. Nobody is getting his brainwaves. When he joined the Foundation 30 years ago, he put a DNU in his will: do not upload. Everyone thought he was crazy. Of course, using both the germs and a Vegas room feels rather like overkill. That's another clue.
Your belongings have been scanned.
He refills his pockets and takes up his laptop. Walking slightly unsteadily because of the new weight he's carrying on his head, he climbs the stairs to the airlock. Hughes would be the first to admit that a typical Foundationer has appalling taste. A typical Foundationer picks brutal functionality over aesthetic pleasure 100 times out of 100, and a depressing percentage of Foundationers don't even comprehend the distinction. Hughes sees this reflected in the architectural choices and the interior design of the Foundation's buildings and offices, and in its labs and containment facilities, which commonly cultivate a hopeless, bleak cliff edge atmosphere. He sees it in its machinery, its devices, its tools, and even its font choices. Hard edges, clashing colors, failing aircon, impersonality, clutter, and claustrophobia are all common to this. And so, the interior is a surprise and a delight. Hughes actually sighs. It seems like someone hired a designer. The place is spacious and modern and well lit, with select walls painted in bright secondary colors. There's not even a bit of exposed concrete in sight. It isn't a single space, but a self-contained suite laid out on 2 floors. There's a central meeting area with a double-height ceiling, a long oval table, and Herman Miller chairs. Along the left wall, there are smaller breakout meeting rooms with frosted glass walls and doors. Above those, reached by a flight of stairs, there's a kitchen area, and in the back are some additional rooms, restrooms, and storage. The carpet is gray and orange, a non-repeating hexagonal pattern. The place itself is well ventilated and smells of coffee. There are 4 people waiting for him. Marion Wheeler, who runs Site 41, is descending the kitchen stairs holding a steaming disposable cup. Graves, the director of Site 45, is at the main table typing at a laptop. Michael Lee is at the back of the room chatting with 05-8. All of them are wearing germs. The 4 huge eyeballs of the 4 germs swivel in unison to stare at Hughes as he comes. It's a highly disconcerting effect. Hughes forces himself to smile back.
You're here.
058 is strange looking, even accounting for the germ. Hughes has never seen an 05 before, and 058 looks very unlike what he expected. He tries not to stare, but his own germ is extremely good at staring.
You're all caught up?
The nature of the asynchronous work loop is that the first quarter of any meeting in a Vegas room is spent reading notes left from prior meetings. Hughes' correct guess is that there's been an hour-long pre-meeting and then everybody broke for coffee, and now they're resuming.
We are.
058 takes a seat at the head of the table, with Graves to his left. Lee sits to his right, and Wheeler to Lee's right. 058 indicates a particular vacant chair, opposite of Wheeler, where a printed document is waiting for Hughes to read it. Hughes sets his laptop down, hesitant to approach the document.
You want me to read this now?
Take as long as you need.
Where's my team? We're 3 bodies short.
Read the document, Dr. Hughes.
He seems upbeat. Perhaps he's projecting an upbeat facade to help Hughes to forget exactly how much authority and power he wields. His net worth is said to be essentially infinite. It's not really about money at his level. He and his kind can do anything. Hughes sits and reads. The document is a scientific paper purportedly authored by Hughes himself, with various of his fellow researchers co-authoring, including 2 who should be in this room right now. Hughes doesn't recognize the paper's title or content, but that's nothing special in his line of work. The text is written in his own formal academic style, so he has no reason to doubt its authority. It's a brisk read, very dense and to the point, written for a target audience of other memetic scientists. In the abstract, it announces the observation of a new, titanically powerful and dangerous anti-memeplex, provisionally designated SCP-3125, for which the authors plan to seek Apollyon classification. The main body of the first page describes 8 different phenomena, most but not all of them anomalous. Most, but not all of the anomalous ones controlled by the Foundation and having SCP designations. From a cursory glance, the phenomena appear to be totally unrelated, either to one another or to the proposed SCP-3125. Hughes suspects he could derive the implied link between them, given a few minutes, but he elects to read on. He flips the piece of paper over. The whole document is just 2 sides of A4. The other side is mostly mathematics. There is 1 graph and 1 equation and a brief technical description of 2 highly novel memeplectic transformation procedures, which the authors dub amplification. Then there's something like a jump scare in text form. There's a crucial logical leap, and for Hughes, the arrival of comprehension is so blunt, so sudden and frightening that it physically startles him. Even knowing that the word Apollyon was on the table, even primed to expect something extremely nasty on this side of the paper, he recoils.
Oh, fucking hell.
Nobody else says anything. They wait expectantly for Hughes to gather his thoughts and draw some conclusions. He reads the rest of the paper, figuring out what it's going to say almost live as he reads it. As he reaches the end, the initial shock hasn't worn off. The sheer scope of SCP-3125 is a significant distance beyond his current comprehension. He's had a glimpse of it through a keyhole. He would need time in front of a computer to play with the results to get a grasp of it. No, he needs to build filters first, the equivalent of lead-lined gloves to let him manipulate this radioactive idea complex with some degree of safety. It feels like it may have glimpsed him. Apollyon classification is reserved for highly destructive active anomalies which are functionally impossible to contain, something past Keter. An Apollyon class anomaly is an anomaly more or less guaranteed to ultimately destroy the world, no matter what is done to stop it. The only thing which can avert this particular XA class scenario is if something else, like some other Apollyon class anomaly, destroys the world first. The relative threat level is measured not in material containment resources, but in inevitable years. On the top of his head, Hughes would put that figure as a single digit.
Yep, this is it. This is the one that's going to kill us. Did we obtain Apollyon classification?
No.
No.
Current thinking is the Overseer space in that Apollyon classification is a confession of defeat. It's bad for morale. It cultivates defeatist attitudes. Aside from the special classifications, Keter is considered the top of the hierarchy as of right now. All extant Apollyons are likely to be reevaluated and reclassified over the next year or so. Other than that, what do you think?
You want containment procedures? We've had this conversation a bunch of times before, correct?
Let's imagine that this is the first time.
We could exterminate all intelligent human life. If there's no sapient host in the universe, SCP-3125 can't incarnate.
Yes, you've pitched that approach before, and I don't think any of us here have ever been completely sure if you were serious.
I'm completely serious that we could do it, and completely serious that it would work. Our mission statement is secure, contain, protect. Somewhere down the line, we really should look into adding and keep as many human beings alive as possible to that.
It's implicit that humanity is what we protect.
Secure the anomalies, contain the anomalies, protect the anomalies. How does it scan otherwise?
We're getting off topic. We're not exterminating all sapient life.
Okay, we could immediately terminate and suppress all memetics and antimemetics research worldwide. We would have to systematically dismantle the whole scientific field forever. Stop all the experiments, scrap all the research, brainwash all the researchers. If nobody actively researches the field, nobody will ever find SCP-3125. It stays buried in the farthest reaches of ideatic space indefinitely, like radioactive waste. Ironically, the most practical way to do that would be to develop an artificial meme, one which encodes the idea that memetics research is intrinsically worthless and harmful, enrich it with religious or pseudoscientific virals, and release it to the general public. A year after it got out, we'd be tearing our own labs down, unless Antimemetics Division's institutional immunity to that kind of external threat was strong enough to stand up to the pressure. Interesting scenario. Even if we don't go in that direction, we should definitely think about wargaming it in simulation, see what outcomes are likely.
Bart.
No, hiding it won't work. It could be introduced externally or occur naturally.
We know. Bart, that's already happened. SCP-3125 is incarnating as we speak. Look at these precursor anomalies. We're in what you called the foreshadow. It's here.
Wheeler's referring to predictive models, which Hughes must have created himself during prior meetings, models with which he doesn't have time to familiarize himself. Still, he gets it. He wishes he didn't get it. His fear comes from a completely different place from most people's. The sheer alien scale of the adversary is enough to intimidate most in a petrified submission. From a cursory read, SCP-3125 looks like a nightmare scenario. It's going to turn human civilization into something beyond Hughes' ability to imagine. But that's every Monday in this job, and in any case, Hughes doesn't actually have that much of an imagination. He is intimately familiar with almost the entire SCP database, and he's a world authority in anomalous containment. The few areas of science he doesn't have genius-level ability in, he has trusted colleagues who do. They are all solved problems, locked boxes. This is different. He has more ideas, but there is, mechanically, no way to start working on the problem. It would eviscerate him the moment he tried to comprehend the entire problem. He'd need to design and build the box while already inside the box he was building. He would need to box the universe. He looks around the room's walls. They seem to be holding up.
We could hide in units like this for the rest of our lives, our whole species, while SCP-3125 roamed our reality unchecked like a plague. I declare this to be the exterior of the containment unit. Done. I don't think we can do it. If SCP-3125 is live in consensus normality right now, the game is over. I don't care if Apollyon classification lives or dies. From where I'm sitting, this anomaly is functionally uncontainable. My team and I may have said something different on prior iterations. I could be in the wrong headspace to see the answer. We are, all of us, different people from day to day.
No, you say the same thing every time.
So, that's it. Is that it?
The objection of the Foundation is protection. In the majority of cases, this involves the secure containment of anomalous entities, the establishment of special containment procedures such that these entities can be kept safely and indefinitely. Standard guidance is against active neutralization and to avoid destruction at all costs. Everybody in this room is aware of this. However, senior Foundation officials, such as me, have the right to waive that guideline under certain narrow conditions. I am exercising that right. I deem that in our reality, SCP-3125 cannot coexist with human civilization. We're going to destroy SCP-3125. Forever. Does that change your outlook any?
Special neutralization procedures.
I know that neutralization is generally considered easier than mere containment.
When I first joined the Foundation, I asked my mentor, who retired many years ago, what's the biggest anomaly we've ever contained? That he was cleared for, I meant, of course. And he told me about a very old rumor he once heard, back in his earliest days when he was just starting out. The rumor was that Abrahamic religions had not always been monotheistic. Originally, there were 3 capital G gods, and sometime in the past 150 years, the Foundation has killed 2 of them. I believed him. I was very young and inexperienced, and naive and kind of in awe. It wasn't until years later that I thought back to the conversation, and the fact that I'd never heard that rumor or anything like it from anyone else, and realized that he had been bullshitting me. It's now decades later still, and modern maplectic technology is 100 billion times more advanced than it was back then, and I built 30% of it. And I look at what the Antimemetics Coalition handles on a quarterly basis, and I know better than anybody on the face of this earth what is or is not possible, and...
He trails off. They're all waiting expectantly for him to say something. He can't get there. He's in the wrong frame of mind. Maybe he's in denial. Maybe the solution is an idea he doesn't want to take on board. How ironic.
What did I say? Just tell me.
Your team suggested that just because SCP-3125 is the most powerful memeplectic threat ever observed doesn't mean it's the top of the hierarchy. You suggested that it would be possible to synthesize an idea of an order of magnitude still more powerful than SCP-3125, specifically designed to neutralize SCP-3125, and under our control, a countermeme.
That could be possible. It would be insanely dangerous. It would require tremendous resources and 10 to 20 years of real-time work completely uninterrupted. To avoid observation, we'd need to be hermetically sealed away from the exterior universe for the entire time. We'd need a lab as big as a launch arcology. Wait a second.
And with that, we come to the end of part 1 of Wild Light. As I said at the beginning, this episode had to be cut into 2 to fit into a regular time slot. So tune in this time next week, assuming you've listened to this when it first released, for the next part of the Antimemetics story. And as usual, just because I have to cover it, as we close, I want to give a big thank you to those in real life who made this episode possible. In particular, I want to thank the many voice actors who played a role in this, particularly Kit, who played the role of Ani near the beginning, Esme, who played the role of Catalina, Peach, who played the role of Rowan, and John, who played the role of Jean. You heard them all at the Campfire segment at the beginning. Then I would like to thank Taya, who played the role of Graves, as well as that Dr. Bachner that you heard near the beginning, Echo, who played the role of Marion, I guess myself, I played the role of Bart Hughes for this episode, Emily, who played the role of Michael Lee, and Moss, who played the role of 058. I'd also like to thank the composers of the music that you heard in the background. You've heard a lot of tracks from Kevin MacLeod in today's episode, particularly his track Shadowlands 3 Machine, but I'd also like to thank a new musical artist of the show, Miyu, with the track Fernweh, which we played near the beginning of the episode. Finally, I would like to thank the author of the stories you heard today. His name is QNTM, and he wrote the story Wild Light. So thank you all for listening, and have a good one.